Everyone has down days, days when they feel sad. Today, you were having one such day, and no matter what you did, you couldn't seem to shift the heavy weight on your shoulders. You spent the day feeling glum, and it was only when you made it home that night that things started to change. Mezou Shouji was waiting for you. You had been texting him all day and were honest about your feelings, about how you couldn't pick yourself up. So when you finally saw him sat on your bed when you came into the room, a wave of relief washed over you. With a running jump, you launched yourself at him. He caught you and pulled you against him, giving you the biggest hug, and one you sorely needed. "I'm home," you said with a smile. "Welcome home," he replied. You stayed that way for a while. Mezou's hugs were on another level to anyone else's. The wing-like membrane connecting his second and third arms were like a thin but heated blanket, and it felt like you were in a cocoon of affection. You didn't want to let go. Mezou was concerned for you though. He didn't like knowing you were upset. You might be snuggled in his arms right now, but he wanted to make sure you were okay even when he pulled away. He let go and shuffled back across the bed to put some space between you, leaving you to wonder what he was up to. He held his muscular arms out. He paused while he focused. Then new appendages sprouted from them. First it was an eye, then another, then a nose, a pair of ears, and finally a mouth. He pushed them all together to make a strange kind of face. It looked absolutely ridiculous, and you couldn't help but laugh. "What the heck is that?" Mezou smiled beneath his mask. He wanted to make you happy. You had told him there was no real reason for your sadness, which made him all the more determined to make you smile. "I've been practicing my ventriloquism." "Oh?" You eyed the cluster of his extra organs. You hoped he wasn't planning on using this weird ventriloquist dummy in front of children. They would have nightmares for months. When Mezou spoke next, it was through the dummy's mouth. "If something's bothering you, you can always talk to Mini Mezou." You looked between the strange assortment of organs and Mezou. "I don't think that counts as ventriloquism if you're speaking through your dummy's mouth." Mezou raised an amused eyebrow. "Oh, but am I?" The mini Mezou started spouting nonsense about how cute you were, how your eyes sparkled and how your hair smelled like flowers. And while you battled against a shy blush, you leaned in close to the standalone mouth. To your surprise, it wasn't making a sound. Instead, it was opening and closing in time to Mezou's talking. You were impressed. For a split second. Then you realized it meant nothing because the real Mezou's mouth was still covered by his mask. "Oi, I need to see if your mouth's moving," you demanded with a laugh, knocking past the dummy so you could reach Mezou's actual face. As was to be expected, his lightning-fast reflexes stopped you in your tracks. The cluster of organs that made up the dummy morphed into arms, grabbing you around the waist and by the hands before you could grip his mask. You were so close. You pulled against his grip, your face a few inches from his. It was infuriating that he had your arms pinned. You pouted. "No fair." You could tell Mezou was smiling behind the mask. It wasn't a smug look. In fact, he looked genuinely warm and affectionate, even while you tugged against his ironclad grip. "It's perfectly fair," he countered airily. Another limb appeared between the two of you, morphing into a small hand. Before you knew what had happened, it had gripped the upper edge of his mask, pulled it down, and he had kissed you full on the lips. You felt your entire body surge with giddiness, but before you had time to respond, his lips were gone and the mask was back in place. Mezou let go of you and, as he expected, you collapsed into a gooey, loved-up mess in his lap. This time his arms circled you, pulling you more comfortably into his embrace. He kissed you on the top of the head, keeping his mask on this time. Perhaps his ventriloquism wasn't the best, or even proper ventriloquism, but as long as he could make you smile with it, then he was happy. You were the only adorable dummy he needed in his life.